DeSanto Propane is 4 generations strong as a trustworthy family-owned business with unmatched customer service. Go online at DeSantoPropane.com for more info or call toll-free at 1-800-752-4574. Since 1937, the difference has been DeSanto Propane.
All right, everybody, welcome into Concrete Jungle for this week, April 27th. Paul Russo, Kyle Evans here with you. Wow, it's like more of the same each week we go on here at this point in a way. But yeah, we'll recap what the Yankees coming off of a 8-game winning streak, losing the final one, though, in Houston yesterday. The Mets able to break the losing streak only to start another one up here. And we'll get into some stuff there. I got some hypotheses and stuff like that based on how the Red Sox stuff here kind of shook out over the weekend, and how I think the Mets, there might be another team maybe in that division, might be taking notes. So Kyle, good to see you. I know you're in pretty good spirits as is here still with everything going on in Saberland and stuff like that. So I'm sure, though, for you as well on this side, though, yeah, you lose the last game in Houston. If you're the Yankees, still in the series. You won 8 straight before that, especially compared to the Mets. Tough to really probably complain overall in the grand scheme of it still.
Yeah, I think a lot of people would sign up for 18-10. The 8-game win streak. Yesterday was just kind of odd. Luis Hill didn't really pitch well, and the offense just kind of fell in a hole, and they tried to dig themselves out but couldn't. But I mean, you look and they still scored 4 runs, and then you look over at the Mets, and man, they just can't score more than 1 run at times, or even 2 runs. So yeah, I think it's a solid start for the Yankees.
Yeah, let's just run through that 8-game winning streak here for the Yankees on what they had. 4 runs, 13 runs, 7 runs against Kansas City, 4-4-4 against Boston, a 12-8, and then a 4 in that loss against Houston. So kind of, I think, one of those things we go back to what we've talked about the past couple weeks, really, about the grand scheme of it for the Yankees. Tough to really complain still overall about the offense. We'll get into a couple guys here once again in just a second involving that. But it's really tough to shake your head at that, like we've mentioned, and be like, whatever. But yeah, I think for me, the question's still for the Yankees. And maybe this opens up a couple different conversations right here, Kyle, what I'm going to pose here at this point. So you mentioned Luis Hill. His starts this year at the big league level have just not been good. And so he gets demoted at the end of the game after yesterday's game on Sunday. The corresponding move is interesting to me, given a couple different context points. So Jason Dominguez gets called up. He's been pretty much on fire this whole AAA season so far. And while I understand it from maybe the Giancarlo Stanton side of things, more on that in a second here as we kind of work through this, could the Yankees also still be bring up a pitcher here potentially? Because, like, I know the prevailing theory and thought is they get through these 3 games in Texas, right? They have a day off on Thursday. So the prevailing theory to get to where Rodon is back in the rotation is, yeah, they can go with a 4 guy and maybe use a couple of the hybrid guys like a Yarbrough, like a Weathers, again, stuff like that to get through to where Rodon is back healthy. But I don't know. I feel like if you're going to demote Hill, I'd rather get a pitcher back up here, unless, like I said, unless they're just convinced at this point Stanton's going to go on the injured list anyway, and you're going to call up an arm no matter what at some point between now when we're recording here at 1:35 and first pitch tonight at 8:05 Eastern.
Yeah, I'd kind of be shocked if they didn't call up another pitcher, even if that's just for the bullpen, because they technically don't need a fifth starter until about May 5th. Um, and then Carlos Rodon is probably projected around May 10th. So maybe just one spot start would be needed between now and the 10th. But yeah, I just don't know how you could go, what, 2 weeks basically, 13 days. May 10th would be about 13 days away with just four starters and not calling up an extra arm and just using that as a position player. So I think Dominguez won't even be here that long, because that's the whole point. He didn't start the year here because his playing time would be limited. And I mean, if they're still debating on if Stanton's going to land on the IL, I just don't think he's going to miss a lot of time. And you look at Grisham, I mean, they're not just going to sit him all the time. Bellinger's not going to sit. Judge is obviously playing every day. So yeah, I don't think Dominguez will be here long anyway. So I think as soon as they send him back down, then a pitcher will probably come back up.
Yeah, and that's kind of my thought maybe overall too with this anyway, is I know when I was reading something yesterday about like they were really hammering home the point of this off day. I'm like, cool, but that's only 3 game days from now. Like it's not like it's in the middle of this run to get to May 10. And like that's my thing with it, where it's just like I'd be like, I understand it from that side, but like, yeah, I don't know. The way I see it, it's truly they're bringing up Dominguez's bat to be like what Stanton does, right? Like I don't think they're a true comp to each other, right? But it's very interesting how Dominguez's career is kind of played out to this point, right? Very clearly offensive plus. Glove is the secondary negative thing, kind of like Stanton. So I like you said, I can't imagine a way we'll see Dominguez necessarily in the field on that side of things. Could we see him in the lineup? I think anything's better than Randall Grichuk at this point in terms of the outfield side of things. So I guess anything's kind of possible. But yeah, I don't understand why another arm isn't being utilized off the bat, even given the frankly short staff at this point.
Yeah, and again, their starters have actually been giving them length, which is why we haven't seen much of that, what I call weak bullpen lately. Um, and now if you go to a four-man rotation, I just feel like that's going to kind of change the bullpen too, and guys are going to start being used a lot more again. And I know Garrett Cole and Carlos Rodon are right around the corner, basically, you know, but still, it just seems like not calling off a pitcher would be a mistake, and I think a lot of people would agree with that. But we'll definitely find out soon. I mean, usually roster moves are announced about 5 hours before the game, and they're getting close to that area. But yeah, I mean, they can retroactive, Stanton too, but it's kind of odd that they're dragging this out. Like I thought for sure he was going on the IL yesterday. Um, but yeah, I hope it's not too serious. But it's a leg injury, and with Stanton, it's always a problem. So who knows?
Yeah, yeah, and that's the other part of this too, right? Where I'm just like kind of like you know what his deal is at this point. Um, not to not to say you should do something that the Mets do, but like give credit to the Mets on this regard, right? They've been on the front end of like with Soto and now Lindor, just like, okay, we're going to put you on the IL no matter what here, especially early in the season. I just assume do that, and then that way you're not risking anything, yada yada. So, um, enough of that. I want to move on. I want to go to Jazz Chisholm again here, who has been just, I mean, the focal point of a lot of our probably negative stuff involving the Yankees so far this season on the podcast. But it's so weird, man. Like it finally felt like a little bit, um, midweek last week. It's like he's starting to make the turn on offense, and you get through the Houston series. Like, maybe not really. I think the jarring thing to me that I got shown, and this is a little bit of a maybe broader issue with him at the plate right now, is his ABS challenges, 1 of 8. And like obviously, I think everybody pretty much saw that stat. But, like I know why they showed it in the way they did, but like to me, it shows a broader issue with him. And like, look, I'm not saying you talk about making moves here, right? But like, have you seen the movie Major League, Kyle?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't want to assume, I don't want to do whatever here, but like it kind of makes me wonder if like they have like a Ricky Vaughn moment with him where it's like put on these glasses type deal. I wish I was being like semi like funny about this, but like it's one of those things where I'm looking at that and then you kind of see what's going on with him actually numerically, and I'm like, so like is he like seeing stuff correctly? Like, look, I know I'm probably taking a huge leap on the exact thing like with that, but like I think there's got to be a correlation there, right, between his ABS challenge failures to how he's approaching the plate and his numbers so far this year. Like, there's got to be a true correlation there involving something.
Yeah, the way he's acting right now at the plate reminds me of kind of Josh Donaldson back when I thought he couldn't see at the plate with some
Mm.
of the swings in the dirt. And that's kind of how he's been too. Everything's off balance, until, this past weekend. Um, and I mean, the one challenge over the weekend, it was literally right down the middle. I mean, it couldn't get any more clear and for him embarrassing than that. And at this point, you have to tell him just enough of the challenges. Like he's literally only won one out of what you said, eight or nine.
Yeah, I think it was, well, when I saw the thing yesterday, it was 1 in 7. So that'd be, yeah, 1 out of 8.
Yeah, see, like I mean, at this point, Boone has to tell him enough. You're like killing our challenges literally every time. And it's funny that guys want to be so aggressive at times. Like if no one's on base and it's like the first pitch of the at bat, like you shouldn't be challenging. Like whatever, fall down 0-1. But yeah, Jazz just I don't know. It's been a weird start to the year, but I mean, it does seem like he's turning the corner. He's like 5 for his last 12 now. A couple of multi-hit games over the weekend, and he looks like he's hitting the ball hard again. So hopefully, that's just a good sign.
Yeah, well, and we'll see if it continues. I don't know if it'll fully be able to do that. The Rangers are, I think they're a little bit better than I gave them credit for going into the year. It's to where they stand right now. I mean, they're a 500 team, but like, eh, I don't, you can't take them lightly by any means. Um, and you're kind of run into a decent jaunt of their pitching staff, right? You have Jack Leiter tonight on Monday. Tomorrow for them is DeGrom, and then Wednesday is Eovaldi. So, you can say what you want really about any one of them particularly right now. I mean, Eovaldi right now is he having his worst season start to the season like since he was like a Marlin? I think it's up for debate, but um, it's just like one of those things where it's like for Jazz's sake, I don't know if this is exactly the next three in line you'd prefer to face in that sense, or maybe in general, but like, I think again for the Yankees, you take 2 of 3 again here, you hit the off day on Thursday, you kind of reassess kind of where a couple guys stand, maybe. Tough to really again shake your head at that.
Yeah, definitely agree. And Jose Caballero, we have to probably talk about him a little bit because Anthony Volpe's so close. I mean, the guy
Mm.
since like April 13th has been over 300, hitting the ball, a couple home runs in Houston. I mean, I don't know how the hell they're going to come back and just let Volpe take over that spot. And I really think they're going to do that.
Yeah. I unfortunately agree. Um I will say this. I'm guessing you've seen the video circulating about Volpe's defense in his one rehab game.
I don't think I've seen it. Oh,
I think it was is it Josie or whoever from John Boy.
Joe's McFly.
Yeah, and
I
I don't know. It's tough to me. It's like on one end I get it, but other end I'm just like it's his first game seeing live action. Like I don't know what you really kind of want in that sense either. But yeah, I have that same worry, man, and I I don't I don't know. It goes back to an issue I have maybe overall with the build of this team to a degree, right? Like we talked about it. It's funny we talked about it last week involving Jazz, right? Like at what point do you just say kind of like screw it and allow Jazz to sit while playing McMahon? Well, like I don't know. Like Rosario, all things considered, still having a really good start to the year. Like somehow McMahon technically out. Like I don't think you can sacrifice his glove in the field. Like it's I don't know. I'm with you though. I think Caballero being the odd man out in this is certainly the wrong move. The way everything's been playing for him this year.
Yeah, and it sounds like Volpe could literally be back by the end of the like by this weekend. He'll play in a couple more games midweek this week, and then he could be ready. So get ready for all the fans all over social media. I mean, including myself, because I'm saying right now I don't agree with the move, and I think you should always ride the hot hand and the guy that's. I mean, he's been doing such a great job. You have to like just reward him and let him go until he just gets in a slump like Jazz.
Yeah. Yep. I agree. 100%. Well, good transition there, Kyle, for the word slump. Let's finally get to the Mets stuff here. I'm throwing the way we traditionally do this a little bit out the window with them at this point. They finally break this 8-game losing or 12-game losing streak. Sorry, I got the Yankee winning streak on the brain there. They get the series win against Minnesota. I don't care how they did it or how they got there, right? The more important thing for them in that moment was cool. You got 2 of 3 against the team. Let's build off of that, right? And I get the series overall in Colorado against Colorado in New York got thrown for a little bit of a curveball because of the weather. But the fact of the matter is, you get swept by the Rockies, and in the doubleheader against them yesterday on Sunday, you lose by a combined score of 2-6. What are we doing? And
One.
or 2-1. Yeah, my bad. Apologies. 2-1. I like what what are we doing, right? And before I get any further on some of my stuff on them with that, and look, I get Colorado this year is kind of punching above their weight to a degree, but to me, it's inexcusable what transpired over the weekend, which is crazy coming off the heels of a 12-game losing streak. But it's inexcusable how the weekend went for the Mets.
Yeah, doubleheader or not, I mean, scoring 1 run, Tyrone Taylor solo shot in 18 innings of baseball against the Rockies, who have given teams trouble. I mean, they did win a couple against the Dodgers last weekend. But still, you're at home. Like you said, you got some momentum winning 2 of 3 against the Twins. You put up 10 runs in the finale against the Twins. A lot of guys seem to actually hit the ball that night and just probably start feeling better about themselves. And then Friday night, they go and lose a 1 run game. I mean, I believe they had the lead two in that game. The bullpen kind of cost them late again. And then first game of the doubleheader, I was actually watching. They had the bases loaded, nobody out. First game to start the day. Or sorry, there was 1 out, bases loaded, 1 out. And Jose Quintana, the former Met, was on the mound, and they get 0 runs. I thought that was like the tone setter of the day. You get a run or two there, and again, you start feeling completely different, and they get 0, and then they just basically get shut down the rest of the game. Um, and the thing is, this isn't a one-off, and this isn't just a weekend thing, because I've had the numbers here, and it's crazy. I mean, they're shut out in 5 of their 28 games this year, and they've scored 2 runs or fewer in half of their games. Yeah, let that sink in. 2 runs or fewer in 14 out of 28 games. I mean, how much is that like going to weigh on the pitching constantly? Doing that stuff. I mean, just over the weekend alone, look at the 2 games. The pitching only gave up 3 runs. I mean, if you're a pitcher on that team right now, you got to be like just crushed. Like you can't make a mistake with how bad the offense is. And I don't know what you do about it because again, there's still names in this lineup that should be producing. Carlos Mendoza, even though I know we're going to get more into him, he's not the one at the plate. He's not the one, putting the ball in soft contact and striking out a lot like they do. The quality of the at bat is terrible every night, it seems. So I don't know what you do. I mean, you could go ahead and fire the hitting coach, but I always don't think that really matters either. These are major league hitters. They know what they're doing. They've been in this league. They know how to adjust. I just think the vibe, the morale is so bad right now. And seeing that they're 9-19, 10 games under 500, I'm not sure they're going to climb out of this. I really don't.
Yeah, we talked about it last week, right? Where you can't necessarily win the World Series early on, right? But you can certainly find ways to lose getting even that opportunity, and they're digging themselves a hole. And to piggyback off of you on that front, Kyle, the pitching staff's allowed 122 runs this year, which in the grand scheme of it is middle of the road for the league as a whole. But really, the key part for them is the fact that it's 92 runs that they've had on offense, which is glaringly the worst in the league, period. Not this National League, but Major League Baseball overall. And that's, to me, the worst part in this, right? Is they don't even have the worst run differential in their own division in the NL East. That's to the Phillies. Like, the Phillies have 24. It's a difference of 24 between the Mets and the Phillies. And it's crazy that, like, we aren't really necessarily, like, viewing it from the Philly perspective because, like, thank God the Mets are what they are right now for their sake. But, like, it's inexcusable. Like I said, just inexcusable. And like you mentioned, the Mendoza stuff, we teased it a little bit here. We can get into it now. Um, I don't think the Mets and the Red Sox are an equal comparison point on this side, but you saw what the Red Sox did over the weekend. Right after, by the way, they beat a Baltimore team 17-1. They fire essentially all the coaching staff and Alex Cora. And I mentioned it a little bit last week, but I think it's fair to revisit it, right? Is like, at what point do we see a change? And look, I don't know. You're playing a Washington team that is very clearly at least playing better than you. I don't know on paper if they're actually better than you, whatever, but like they're above you in the standings. They're a 500 club. Their offense is, I mean, frankly, I don't know how much you've seen of them, Kyle, but like it's a fun offense to watch. They got a lot of young dudes on that team that I know for us anyway, locally here in the Finger Lakes, we've seen up in Rochester for the past couple of seasons develop and mature. I mean, James Woods is one of my favorite guys in baseball to frankly watch. And like I'm sorry, I go into this from the Mets side. It's like what hope do you have against the freaking Nationals this year? And it's like non-existent now.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, in years past, like whether that's been at home or on the road, it seems like the Nationals have always given them problems. I remember last year, the year before, we talked about how that's supposed to be kind of like a get right series. And this is even when the Nationals still, not having a really good team, and they'd have trouble. I mean, I think that's always been the case with the Mets. Nothing's easy for them. And you look again, it's still part of their homestand. But then you look and see what they just did against the Rockies. So it's like being home or on the road doesn't really matter anymore. So yeah, I'm actually kind of shocked that it's almost 2 o'clock here on the East Coast and we haven't even gotten an announcement about Mendoza being fired. I don't, because I truly think after, like, I thought if they won one game and they showed up in the nightcap, it'd be a little better, not okay, but a little better. But now that they got swept and they've literally lost like 16 of 18.
Yeah.
I don't know how you can keep running this like the way it is. It's not May yet. You could make a change early. The Phillies did it with Girardi, and things did change. I think if they were going to fire him, they would have done it like on a day like today, on an off day, and a fresh start tomorrow. But I mean, I guess there is time today, but I feel like we would have heard the announcement earlier in the morning.
Yeah, my only logic here is they're giving him through this series, maybe, because at this point, let's look at their schedule. They have this at home against Washington starting tomorrow. Then it's at the Angels, at Colorado, and at Arizona before coming back east after an off day on May 11th. So it's a long haul West Coast road trip for them coming up. My only logic would be they're giving him the Washington series, and if it doesn't go well, he's not boarding the plane to head to LA.
Yeah, the thing is, even if they were to only win one out of those three,
yeah,
look at their record, they're 10-21. I think like they have to get a series win or else he should be gone.
And look at it from this perspective too, by the way. Once they come back from Arizona, it's home against Detroit, home against the Yankees. You're back on the road at Washington and at Miami, then back home to wrap up the month of May against the Reds and Marlins. But really, like your last, what I would call quote unquote out of sorts in terms of like how you view it on paper is that Arizona series. Because after that, you get to June, it's Seattle, it's the Padres. You get to the Cardinals, which whatever. And then you finally get to face this Braves team, which I'm shocked is as good as they are right now. But like, look, the fact of the matter is they're clearly playing good. Then it's the Reds again. Then it's the Phillies, Cubs, Phillies, Toronto. And now I'm really into July. But like, what I'm trying to get at here is like, it's not getting any easier for them. It's just not. And I don't know. I'm like you. I'm kind of surprised they have not pulled the cord yet and parachuted out of this deal while the getting was good, frankly, last night.
Yeah, and from the outside looking in, I sense that like Mendoza's message is just not hard enough, clear enough. Guys just don't really care what he's saying. He's soft spoken, in my opinion. I mean, I guess it can be worse behind closed doors, like apparently Aaron Boone is, even though I don't really think so. Um, but like, I just think like at this point, it doesn't matter unless he's out. Like, there just has to be a new guy in there, a new message, a different tone, a more aggressive guy. Um, and you got to remember too, Mendoza worked with Boone forever. He's literally saying some of the same quotes that Boone said. We have to be better. That wasn't a good performance. Oh, really? So I don't know. I just think unless the manager goes, nothing's really going to change. And there's got to be still something wrong in that clubhouse between players because this is so weird. I mean, yesterday again too in a doubleheader they looked so flat. I mean, I know there's no fans basically now that go to games, but man, it just no energy. One run is just it's hard to believe.
Yeah. It's funny too because it was after the podcast last week, right, where the news came out, the story came out that like Boone talked with Mendoza, right? I think
Yeah.
it was after. So, um, yeah, like, and look, everybody has a different style of coaching, right? And I'm not going to sit here and say like you are, right, in the sense of like we don't know if it's good or bad, however you want to view it from Mendoza's perspective. But what we do agree on, what the point we're frankly making is the message isn't working anymore. And that's pretty apparent by how
Yeah.
it's going about. And um, look, whether good, bad, or indifferent, I think the Red Sox are a good example, at least in the sense of like whatever Cora was saying just was not getting going anymore, right? Like I said, I think there's some differences very, very clearly between these two organizations, how they're run, but I don't think I don't think the Red Sox make that move on Cora if you know some of the stuff trickling out isn't happening. You know what I mean? Um, like I said, where I do think there's some correlation, right? And you mentioned it is, how much of this can you put on Mendoza, and how much of this do you go back to maybe putting this on Stearns, right? The pitchers don't have bats in their hands, and at the very least, they certainly don't anymore. These guys are doing everything they can. Like it's crazy to me. Like Noel McLean's reminded me of like a prime in the sense of like stat wise. It's like a prime Felix Hernandez season in a way where it's just like, look at this dude. He's gonna have like a sub 2.5 ERA and he's striking out almost 200 guys. And his record's gonna end up being 10-12 because his team just failed him incredibly. Right. And I think that's where we're kind of saying where it's like, okay, like, yeah, there's probably stuff Mendoza could be doing, but also like this is a broader issue picture here than just one specific guy as well.
Yeah, it's definitely not a payroll issue, we can say that.
100%.
Um,
100%.
and just one quickly thought, because I know Mets fans have been talking about this. It is kind of funny though, in my opinion. Brandon Nimmo hitting 281, which would be like 41 points higher than any Met currently on their
Yeah.
roster.
Yeah.
And 4 home runs, 12 RBI. Yeah, I mean one of the Rangers' best hitters early on here. Um, yeah, so it's funny how that works out, but it happens to the Yankees too. Guys will leave and they'll just start hitting. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
we literally are seeing it right now with Oswald Peraza in Anaheim.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, he literally tore the Yankees up in that series.
I mean, this is more of a in general sports thing, but like the New York thing is a very real, unfortunate pressure point. And I don't think this is just a baseball exclusive thing. I mean, we've seen it in other sports. So, um, yeah,
Yeah.
and spot on too, right? 41 points would be the difference there on the batting average side. So, that's pretty much all I got for the Mets. An interesting thing to look at here. Again, this is a little bit also localized stuff. AJ Ewing, who is the Mets' number 3 prospect on the pipeline, uh, they get promoted from Double A Binghamton to Triple A Syracuse today. I don't think this is he's going to be up with the Mets here anytime soon type move. I suppose maybe in the hypothetical there could be a corresponding move, but I really doubt that. I don't. We go back and we talked about a couple weeks ago about who we might see. I mean, they dished DFA Tommy Pham. Melendez has been up now for a good chunk as well. The only other really guy at AAA in terms of big league experience that they got outfield wise is Ji-Wan Bae. Does that actually happen? Probably not. So I think this is just more. He's been so red hot at Binghamton that, you know, the next step in the progression at this point is to move him up along the ladder.
And we can't forget Austin Slater being signed by the Mets last night, right after the Tommy Pham DFA, which I am shocked at how bad Tommy Pham was at the plate. I mean, it wasn't a huge sample size.
Yeah,
but
13 at bats.
Yeah, I don't know. I just thought he'd kind of be the veteran voice in the room that would help him. He's been there before, and man, I mean, it hasn't made a difference at all.
Yeah, the couple of bats I really saw him and did kind of like the in-depth stuff I look at, he did look, I don't want to say fish out of water, but like, I don't know if it's like one of those things where like he just clearly, obviously he didn't have a full spring training or what, but like it did not look good. And hey, I mean, sometimes time just gets you and passes you by, but I was just like, oh, this is just not, like you said, this is not going the way that they had hoped.
And one other guy quickly yesterday in the doubleheader that kind of shocked me was Carl Edwards Jr. getting called up and actually throwing scoreless innings for the team and keeping them in that game in the nightcap. And
he was Syracuse's best pitcher this opening month, and I mean, guys like Tong and whatever were having good months as well, but he was like, I think he had like bulk of like the true pitching stats. He was leading the way, so. I mean, I'm happy for him. He's a guy who actually pitched in Rochester a couple of years ago as well in the national system. And I know for guys like us, we probably mostly remember him as part of that World Series run for the Cubs now a decade ago. But hey, I mean, as long as you still got it and people see your worth, more power to you.
Yep.
All right. So I think that about does it for the week here, Kyle. We will head out on that note. Concrete Jungle. You can find it here on FingerLakes1.com, the F1 YouTube channel, the auto feed on all major podcasting platforms. Enjoy the week, everybody, and we will be back again next month.